traffic or the infrastructure as well faces many more challenges. Just want to mention freight traffic. We have a large increase, or will have a large increase in the next years of about 80%. And so this is just for the frame. But now, as an appetizer, what are the consequences of climate change that we are concerned about? So that's more the picture for Germany. Actually, we see an increase in rutting, have more blow-ups in concrete surfaces. We might have problems with pre-stressed concrete bridges, at least, due to temperature. I think I forgot to mention scouring here. Then we have extreme precipitation, inundations of roads, tunnels, but storm-caused accidents as well. More of the consequences, so that's more the European pictures now: erosion, landslides, sea level rise, storm surges as well, certainly, and droughts. So now, I think Steve already mentioned that, but I put it most prominent here as well. The Forever Open Road program, the flagship program of FEHRL. Steve already mentioned as well. It has three elements. It consists of those three elements. The adaptable road. Maybe just the keyword is it will be hopefully a change in paradigm in the construction of roads. What we are looking at or aiming at is mostly a modular approach, prefabricated slabs with a really reliable quality as well. You could put then in tunnels or channels for things like power grids or maintenance as well. Okay, on the right are the logos of some of the institutes that I would say contribute most to the program right now. The second of the elements is the automated road. You see the satellite flying here, so this mostly means communication, ICT, sensors in the road really becoming intelligent. That's that. And last but not least, the resilient road, what we're going to talk about today. There we have all our canonical projects. You can't read it, but we'll distribute the slides anyway, so then you can have a closer look. Maybe I have to mention, the resilience of the road. We have on the vehicle side real-time weather prediction. We want to use that is more the mitigation part, actually, energy harvesting, so taking renewables in the right way, or using geothermal energy as well. So these are the projects in there. We have a roadmap for this. This is the first roadmap. Actually, the other twos are still lacking. This is the roadmap is in the framework of the European Road Transport Research Advisory Council, ERTRAC, as well. Headline actions are assess climate change models. Maybe this is not an easy task in Europe. It's Germany alone uses 4 regional models, static and dynamic models. And the other countries have their own models. If you want to compare the results of your vulnerability assessments afterwards, then it's really a hard task to make all those regional models consistent. Next is we want to identify vulnerabilities on the key European transport networks, establish future service levels as well, identify key high-risk points on that network. And then the important things are we want to identify technologies and best practices for the climate change adaptation, and certainly see what remaining technology gaps we have, and how are we going to do this? The tasks we have selected 3 trans-European corridors. There's a Trans-European Transport Network, the TEN-T network. We will identify and model the climate change effects on these corridors first. Then we'll have the risk-based vulnerability assessment for those corridors as well. See what adaptation technologies we can identify, prove, and integrate then. Finally, the development of adaptation strategies and their implementation for the existing infrastructure is important. We put that in the roadmap into milestones, but that's mostly what I just told you. Here's the time scale. In 2015, we want to have the preparations and preliminary actions completed. In 2020, the sections of the TEN-T pilot corridor, so only sections should be resilient. Then in 2025, the whole corridors will hopefully be resilient, and then there is an outlook to 2050 where we hope that we have the complete network resilient. Okay, let me now come to other European projects. In the ERTRAC road framework, we had a call, Road Owners Getting to Grips with Climate Change. That was in 2000 already. And 4 projects were selected there. I put the acronyms here: RIMAROCC, SWAMP, IRWIN, and P2R2C2. Yeah, sounds like Star Wars. Okay, first of them, RIMAROCC, risk management for roads in a changing climate. So the aim here was to develop a common method for risk analysis and management for roads with regard to climate change. So partners were, so we are a bit biased to the north of Europe, I would say. You see that here, it's the Swedish Geotechnical Institute, Aegis Engineering, so there are 2 private companies, and Deltaris in the Netherlands, and the Norwegian Geotechnical Institute. So they developed that methodology. It consists of 7 steps. Is in line with ISO 31000. So it's really formalized, transparent, and it's designed to be compatible and to operate in parallel with the existing methods as well. Interesting, I think, is that it's designed for road risk management at all operational levels. So you can use it from beginning from the structures up to the really network or territory. So this program ran from, I think, 2009 till 11, and now we have the results and the methodology. There is a guidebook. I think I showed the URL on one of the previous slides, so you can download that as well. And now we're implementing really this methodology. For a start, we do the vulnerability assessment in Germany on sections of the German TEN-T network. So that's a project called RIVA, very new. We just recently had the kickoff meeting. The Netherlands are following with a project called Key Roads, so they're doing essentially the same. As I said, we really have to start with looking at the input data, all those regional models. Again, Netherlands are using different ones than we do, so yeah, we have to make that consistent first. And I hope that there are more countries joining in. They have to look for the funding first, I think. So the second of those ERTRAC road project is the pavement performance. That's the Star Wars title here, remediation requirements following climate change. Partners were NTEC, Nottingham, ZAG in Slovenia, VTT of Finland, and SINTEF of Norway. This project was mostly about moisture in the pavement as well as in the subgrade. What they found out is that mostly for western and middle parts of Europe, there won't be too big a change. For some of the gravel roads in the north of Europe, they might run into problems. So that's the bottom line of that project. Next one, stormwater, again a very long title, stormwater prevention methods to predict flooding from the water stream in and near road pavements in lowland area, swamp. We had VTI Sweden with Gunilla being here, DRI of Denmark with Michael Larsen. Where is he back there? So questions I would pass directly to them. What was the aim of that project? They did a screening of terrain data to identify blue spots and flow paths on the surface. So there was, the assumption was 100% surface runoff and no drainage there. Then they did a rain sensitivity analysis on runoff for all those blue spots, and coupled finally a terrain model with a sewer model then. So then that's already the last of those four. Urban, the improved local winter index to assess maintenance need and adaptation costs in climate change scenarios. That ran from 2008 to 2009. So it was a short one. 3 partners, FEHRL, Klimator in Sweden, and the University of Gothenburg. So they had a large set of data and analyzed all those archived road weather observations from Sweden and Finland, and finally made then the winter index out of that. Very important to mention is the CEDR report, Adaptation to Climate Change. Again, you see the URL down there. You can download it, and I think that's quite comprehensive. So that is, I recommend that to read. Essentially 3 parts. First, definition of the issue. They had the current situation as these situations were described by the NRAs. Then they looked at the main effects of climate change and the remedial measures, and as well on the effects of climate change on the working procedures. In the second part, they were looking at the possible ways forward, and proposed to suggest, or had suggestions for the actions to be implemented on the European as well as on a national level. They looked at further at knowledge base and looked for further research, and identified no regret actions that can already be done. In the third chapters, principal criteria for making decisions and prioritizing were suggested. So there were, we have 3 of them. They did a lot, well, some surveys at least, of the risk related to climate change. The NRAs in Europe, and so it's interesting to read the status quo of them. Then they had a survey as well of the ongoing work, the strategies, policies, and adaptation work, and research programs. So it's not right that I don't talk about strategies and policies at all, but at least in this report there is a lot gathered together. At the end they did a compilation of examples of the adaptation work and made a kind of a good practice guide of those things relevant for the adaptation. And amongst other things, they produced those nice leaflets in one of the appendices. So have a look at that. Okay, then let me come to the wider Europe part of FEHRL, the Australian activities. They started as early as 2004, I think, here with doing research, and this is a list of the reports they have done. Then I would like to mention the climate change framework that they have in Australia as well. Objectives of that were to examine the possible impacts and implications of climate change on road infrastructure. They gave an overview of short and long-term impacts. And like those other reports and programs, that was developed to assist the road agencies in adapting and forming appropriate responses to climate change. So this is pretty much, yeah, that's some of the consequences and challenges we have in Australia. Really, yeah, couldn't call it nice. I mean, it's melting of bituminous seals, and they have destruction of timber bridges and of signage and utilities. Very impressive, at least, I would say. That's the final slide, just a list of the German adaptation projects. It's a total of well, right now a dozen projects, one more is to come. This is really too small to read, but you can have a look at the details if we get the slides then. Just on the right, about half of them are already running. The yellow ones are in the tendering process, and the red ones will start next year then.